Hello. So I had an idea on my walk today, as is a place that I tend to have a lot of ideas. And the idea was, what if there was a school for the modern world? And what do I mean by that? So specifically, I've been looking a lot into like emergency preparedness lately. And if you think about it, there are just seem to be so many different things going on in the world, from wars to cyber attacks to pandemics, um, to just like degraded infrastructure and all those sorts of different things. And I was thinking about how this whole process of trying to educate myself to keep myself prepared for the future and also prepared in case of emergencies. And so I've been looking into all these sorts of resources behind, for example, like first aid, um, skills for wilderness survival, skills for, a whole bunch of different things. And I thought to myself, what if there's a way to help educate people on those things while also advancing their careers? And so what I thought about was I sort of designed this curriculum in my head about making a bachelor's degree. And the idea for this bachelor's degree is it's called emergency. Oh God, what did I call it? Emergency preparedness and recovery. And so there are two aspects for that there, or emergency preparedness and response. That's what it was. And there are two different aspects to that there. There's the preparing side and trying to mitigate these issues and prevent these problems. And the other one is responding to any emergencies when they come up. So as I mentioned earlier, there are a wide variety of different types of, emergencies in a wide variety of industries, from anywhere from like financial services to like energy companies to any sort of hospitals, medical organizations, pretty much everything. Um, and I feel like it would be a really cool way to essentially allow students to have a concentration and sort of concentrate in one area. So, for example, that might be like medical emergency response, or infrastructure kind of like development or whatever, um, cyber warfare, for example, and how do you respond to that, or just cyber attacks. And essentially also have this curriculum that's laid out by instructors that are qualified to to essentially have a broad base for emergency planning and or emergency preparedness and response. And so that can help, individuals with their own lives and their own preparedness. It could help companies uh, with their emergency preparedness. It could help other organizations, agencies, nonprofits, basically a lot of different fields. And so the idea would be to have a broad base and a lot of different subjects as like this core or sort of background curriculum that revolves around the idea of preparing for emergencies and difficulties, um, and trying to train the actual students in these sorts of processes. So the kind of idea is also to incorporate certifications. So a lot of times people say, I've heard about it in like the security industry, cybersecurity, where they're like, just get certifications over, a degree. And so I kind of had the idea of what if you combine those two. So Western Governors University has a really good model where they allow you to basically transfer in your existing certifications and your existing coursework, and sometimes even life experience, into the and get credit for certain classes they have. So my sort of thought on how classes would be structured is to have a similar thing where it's kind of like the curriculum itself is sort of like a preparation, get the certification. And the certification gives you those things you can market on your resume for careers. Um, and then essentially you do the coursework, but I think instead of having grades, it's more of a pass-fail thing. But at the end of the course, you have to have an open-ended final project on whatever you want related to that class. And so that way, it's also another way to sort of build up your portfolio with projects that you're interested in and that you can show on a resume. And so, and just gives you more, you have more interest in what you're actually learning, right? Because if you just have to take these tests that are prescribed, which obviously you study towards the certification, but if you just do all these tests and this homework and these quizzes, as a current student, I know how like overwhelming it is. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Um, but yeah, so you're also prepared for all these certifications. You get the actual degree itself as like a bachelor's degree. You get a lot of projects that you can advertise. There will be a whole entire class on building your own branding and making a portfolio, making a resume, and doing job interviews and stuff like that. Um, the system would be similar where you have an advisor to try and keep you on track, but I'm pretty sure for a payment model, it'd be more like a online, but we'd have to work with organizations to get a sort of like voucher. So as a part of the degree, you're also paying for the certifications, like a certification voucher and the value. Um, and that way you can be prepared for these certifications, take them, um, etc. And so it could also be, instead of like these outrageously high rates, because the lectures could be pre-recorded and asynchronous with still having professor support. It's a way to do it at your own pacing. So it's similar to the Western Governors University model, pretty much. But essentially, and the idea that I have for this first bachelor's degree, it's focused a lot on just like the emergency preparedness and recovery side of things. And so the thing that I think could be really interesting is having classes offered that really go into depth of the idea of specializing in an area in like different ways. So I mentioned like this kind of like broad-based liberal studies thing. And the way I'm thinking about that is kind of like, and the idea of a school for the modern world is like, for example, one class I was thinking about is like propaganda. How can you notice it? What can you tell about people's intentions with their words and actions, and ground it all in like different resources? So physically go through videos, maybe like videos of politicians, videos of organizations, case studies, etc. And also along with those hard skills, like for example, doing the sort of having an instructor that's first aid instructor certified, make this curriculum for this online course to prepare for the certification, and just like make the whole degree theme towards it. And instead of being like a whole 4-year program, obviously it's self-paced, but have it designed to be like 2 or 3 years. Time to get accredited, I don't know, etc. It's just like a whole vision. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to mention for this video. But the point of it is, again, a school for the modern world, and like how can you sort of integrate this really important education into a sort of degree format that people can get credit for, um, while also gaining legitimacy, financial support, all those sorts of things. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, please. Because I just came up with this idea, and I'm really entirely developing it, and thinking about what that sort of thing would happen. And so, just by the way, beforehand, the certifications, for example, you might have baked in OSHA, FEMA, CDC, Red Cross, etc. And there could also be a job training model where companies create their own curriculum. You can get the trainings for free, and you can list it on your resume when you're applying to those companies to increase your chances. And employers have employees that are already trained for some of the jobs, at least on the like theoretical standpoint. So that's all. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned because I might be doing more research on this because I don't have the understanding of the pedagogy yet for educational systems. So I feel like that is a way that I can sort of improve this concept and go deeper into the planning. So thanks. Bye.